Well, thanks for tuning into the market wrap. I'm Niraj Shah with Nickey Mirchandani, and it promises to be. It's turned out to be a good day of trade. You would have to say. Trade by and large stayed okay, and I think post that there were some announcements around PLI, and we know what excitement the PLI scheme announcements can get in for specific sectors. It's happened with electronics already. Now we're seeing it happen with auto, happen with some of the other smaller pockets as well. But today a bunch of those announcements happen. We'll talk about all of that. First, the index though, and the index ended in the green and well and truly in the green, you would have to say. So the mix cues between Dow and Nasdaq, notwithstanding, I hear markets right now, global markets are following the Dow and not the Nasdaq, and 1% higher of our markets. And look at that. I mean, the curious thing today was that it's not that IT didn't do well. We had the IT stocks also do well. In that, commodity stocks also did well. As you can see, Hindalco and Tata Steel leading the chart. ITC continued to move higher. And in between that, some auto names too ended up almost at the day's highs for most of these. So net, it was a very good day for some of the large caps, ex Reliance, you would have to say. Reliance was the spoil sport, down about 4%. There was some gains, some losses for IndusInd Bank. But that notwithstanding, there was only one key name in the large cap space which stood out, and that was Reliance Industries on the losing side. You want to say, Nikki, what stood out in terms of large caps for you? I mean, the price movement suggests Reliance was the one, but I'm sure there are a lot of other reasons for one stock being the stock of the day.
I mean, I wish I could pick two. I would choose Hindalco and Tata Steel, because Hindalco, probably reported good set of numbers around there. And of course, if you look at the interview that we had or the con calls that followed through after the earnings, the commentary remained encouraging. They continue to remain conservative despite the kind of growth that they're witnessing from Novelis, which is 75% to their earning contribution. Despite that, there is a strong growth coming in from that counter, because of which you're seeing that demand coming in. Tata Steel, of course, I wanted to talk about it extensively because there's this whole buzz in the report stating that the company is likely to finalize sale of European business this week. If that were to happen, we've been hearing this like from a couple of times now. I think it's 3-4 months now that on and off that we've been listening to this whole report coming in that the European business might just see some deal happen soon. It's a big overhang for Tata Steel. If that were to taken, if that was just offset or taken away, and probably the financials would look a lot more cleaner and the balance sheet would probably be a little more lighter, which is a key concern for Tata Steel. So if that is addressed and if this deal is to go through in this week itself, I think a major overhang will be taken off from the counter. Though it remains to be seen what kind of valuation does the stock, at this point of time, the business would go into. But net, even if the company manages to hive off this division, it's going to be a great positive coming in on Tata Steel. Of course, we all know that at this point of time, the whole steel or the cyclicals at metal pack at this point of time, there seem to be a little in favor, because Indian steel mills have been hiking HRC prices for 5th straight month. The prices have been hiked by as much as $20 per ton in this in this month itself. Despite that, there is still some parity when it comes to the export prices. They're still trading at a 4% discount to Chinese exports. The spreads continue to increase, which is a great positive, and now at this point of time they're risen to 28-month high. So clearly on account of that, the steel sector any which ways is seeing some amount of strong favor building in to their favor. But at this point, Tata Steel essentially remains to be seen, because the kind of development which are coming through, and if this European deal comes through, it will take away a big overhang from the counter at this point of time.
Not for that one. I think the other interesting bit is what happened to caps today, right? For the last few days, we've been seeing what's happening to the broader perspective. The fact that the rally is broadening now. If you just look at the moves today, well and truly in favor of the advances. Some beaten down names bounced back. Lotus Labs was one such name. But of that, just keep on looking at for all the beneficiaries because of the MSCI rejig, or for that matter, if reports were to be believed. So, Apollo Hospitals as well as Aurobindo went up because Credit Suisse highlighted that these could be the beneficiaries of some bit of drug change that could come in the report today. So those stocks went up. Some of the auto anchors went up because of this whole PLI scheme, and therefore you see left, right, center, Carbon, Universal, Minda Industries, etc. All of these had. What didn't do well? Tata Communications, 5% lower. There was some weakness in SBI cards today, down about 4%. Some weakness in Bharat Forge on the day of the results. So those are a few names that corrected a bit. Some of the hotel names too, the likes of Lemon Tree Hotels and Chalet also came off in trade after the day in the sun. Yes. What stood out at the broader spectrum?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about something which is actually on the losing end first, because we had NMDC which lost significant amount of gains coming in today, profit booking probably 4.5% kind of downtick on this counter after the buyback announcement came in and after the inline set of numbers. The buyback was announced at a 12% premium. I think all of this was probably factored into the stock, and after the inline set of numbers and the news was all, probably most of the market participants just booked their profits out there. That's the only reason I could think of while thinking about this NMDC correction that we've witnessed. Of course, Apollo Hospital, as you have highlighted, on account of MSCI changes. But apart from that, I would also highlight the fact that it's due for the earnings today. It's going to be reporting in numbers today, and the last 6 times out of 10 quarters that it has reported the numbers, it has missed the estimates as per the Bloomberg consensus reports that we have. And also, last, what I've picked up in my list is Lotus Lab. That's some amount of recovery finally coming into this counter after 3 consecutive sessions of huge losses, which Lotus Labs have gained. But then we also would be watching out for 2 other counters, Niraj. One is Shree Cement, and of course, it's going to be Coal India, because they're going to be coming out with their numbers. Shree Cement, at this point of time, you're witnessing some amount of flattish trend coming in on the operational performance. EBITDA per ton is expected to be down by 13%. It's probably the weak pricing power in North, despite the high volumes, which is expected to keep some amount of pressure on the earnings. Coal India, on the other side, we're just expecting flattish amount of earnings coming in on the top line, or for that matter, even on the operational front. It's the lower e-auction realization, which is otherwise expected to offset the volume growth coming in from the company, because of which you're expecting a flattish sort of numbers coming in for Coal India Q2. Both of them would be after, I think, 435 for that matter. So we'll keep a close eye on that one. But then, Niraj, what are you picking? Any specific earnings that you'd be keeping an eye on?
I mean, more than the results, yeah, as you said, there are couple of these PSU names coming up with numbers, but more than the earnings, I think it's this whole broader market momentum that everybody should be keeping an eye out for. PLI beneficiaries suddenly, today we had a whole bunch of MSCI gainers and losers, right? And if the opening up is indeed here, alive and kicking, then the whole trade of aviation, SpiceJet was up about 4.5-5% today. Then aviation, hotel stocks, etc. So I think people should keep an eye out for that. And the global picture, Nikki, mixed trends continue there.
Clearly, I mean, at this point of time, we're looking at a positive amount of traction building in the European market, and to an extent, even US stock futures are indicating towards a positive start. At this point of time, they're trading higher amidst this whole week of rotation out of technology and into the cyclicals. Within the vaccine hopes, still around linger and probably continue to, just to induce the market right now, and probably overwhelmed with the kind of hopes that we're looking at from the vaccine at least. And if that were to come true, we might just see this leg of rally to continue forward. But that's all that we have in terms of market wrap. Stay tuned into BloombergQuint for more.